Hi, ma'am.
How the heck are you, Mary Green?
I'm good. I'm hecking good. How the heck are you?
I am so glad it's Friday. It's been a long week.
I get that. I'm trying to play with my FaceTime camera, I guess, because I don't look great on these calls.
You know what? Use Zoom instead.
Yeah, I'm on Zoom. I'm just trying to
Go into the video options and choose video filter.
video filter. Okay.
And you see that first row,
Mm-hmm.
those will all kind of like add a tone to the video so that you can see, right?
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
So that it can if you can brighten yourself up if you don't feel particularly bright, or you can, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't feel particularly bright.
I don't feel particularly bright today either, but
That's funny.
that it's just one of the tools that, and I always give myself lipstick.
Gotta love the tools. I'm being a smartass today.
Who's
We
being
just
a
had a big
smartass?
discussion on how, yeah, like how is that
Mm,
different from normal, you mean? Um
yeah.
on AI. I just got out of a great column on.
Tell me.
So last week I did a pretty big presentation at SEDMA on how customer education can needs to be thinking about using AI, right? The tools that already exist, that if they're not using them, they should be using them, and their
Hmm.
vendors should already have them. And if they don't, they might want to think about changing vendors. And then some of the other tools that people would want to use. And in preparation for that, I got in on some conversations with a bunch of people on how CX is how AI and CX, what the same kind of discussion, but at a bigger scale than just for customer ed or just for customer marketing, right? Because we're starting to talk about it in that mixology way too, right? The intersection piece. But so we were just talking about how leadership needs to better understand what they're talking about when they're talking about using AI at
Oh, I thought
the
you meant just in
VP.
general.
Well, that and we have to be, as leaders in the space, whatever the tools are that we're using, we need to be talking up and talking down, right? We need to be making
Hmm.
sure that our teams are leveraging the tools in a way that is ethical, unbiased, yada yada. And we still need to make sure that our leadership understands how we're using the tools and some of the ways that we can use the tools so that they can explain them to security, infosec, da 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 da, right?
Yes. Yikes. I hadn't even thought of security. Ugh,
Right.
they're one of my least favorites, security and legal. I'm like, I can do
And
all
both of those are going
fine.
to play a big part of it, right? Because when we
Hmm.
start talking about IP, right, all of, if we're working in SaaS in particular, right, we've got all of this intellectual property that has been created, and how can how can we properly leverage some of these, particularly generative AI tools? There's that, the anything that's used in the language, right?
Hmm.
MML, and actually get at that content, but not put content out in the public space, because that's what it's doing, right? When we're starting to help train the tools, we're putting that content out in a way that other people could find it.
Hmm.
And do we necessarily want to be doing that with the technical specs for our new toy that we're going to release in October?
Hmm.
Maybe not. Sometimes yes, right? Sometimes it doesn't matter because the content will
Yeah.
eventually become public anyway, right? We're writing something that's going to be a seminar description, or whatever, or
Yeah.
or a course description or something like that. And so, I we just need to make sure that people are educated enough to know what they're doing,
Right.
so that legal doesn't come back and say
I don't
you
like
can't use
legal.
that,
I feel like
right?
legal's
Finance,
always saying
HIPAA,
no.
right? HIPAA is a thing that could be problematic if you do any kind of work with healthcare. then you never know what could adversely impact the ways that the organization deals with HIPAA, finances, accounting, right? All of the software that supports those types of industries, financial planners, insurance, right? Those are all places where we just have to be careful. And if we're not teaching our people about these tools and how to properly leverage them, then they will be improperly leveraged. The tools themselves will learn incorrectly, and our people could put us in a liability situation from which we may never escape. And through no fault, right? Nobody intended for that to happen, but we all know about unintended consequences.
I am catching the gist of what we're talking about. What was the question that prompted this? Like, okay, we're talking.
Oh, I was just talking about. I came off a call.
AI.
I came off a call this morning where we were talking about those kinds of things for CX in general, right? For CCOs and how to make sure that they're making good decisions. And that led to, I did a talk last week about it for customer ed. So
it's definitely the hot topic. We did a customer panel at Zoom. Like we did these like work transformation summit every quarter, and there's always a new theme. And so the last theme was obviously AI, because that's what everyone wants to talk about. We recorded it in advance, so we were like, oh crap, what's going to change in like the 2 weeks since the recording?
Right,
it goes live on Wednesday, but it was fine. But we had this customer panel, and it was interesting because we had the VP of telehealth for Kaiser join, and he was like, I'm really trying to convince my physicians to see this as an opportunity and not a threat. And he said two things that, like, he said a bunch of stuff, but like, to me at my 101 level, what stood out was like, one, he's like, it used to be that people would talk about AI and they'd be like, well, is it like Terminator 1 or Terminator 2? And he's like, and it was really hard, like, to non-technologists to explain technology. And he's like, now people see it, they can interact with it, like they get what we're talking about. And then another thing that was really interesting to me was like, in the pandemic for physicians, like we've kind of gotten back to the mean. He's like, people are coming in the office, it's not all telehealth. He's like, but one thing that hasn't changed is how people contact their doctors through messages. He's like, that used to be, and this is more in the pre-interview, but he was like, it used to be like 30 a day maybe, and now it's like 200, 300 a day, because people,
well, they had to hire assistants just to manage the
and
emails
me, like,
through
not
Epic,
right? And I'm like, yeah, that was another thing he brought up. But he was just like, I really think this is going to help us for all those just kind of messages that we need to respond to quickly. So there's like the chatbot thing. And then also he was like, we've been through this, like with healthcare, for example, like EMRs going to Epic 20 years ago. He's like, that was relatively recently. And people were so afraid at the time, like, this is going to get rid of jobs. Am I going to lose my job? And he's like, no, it's created all these new certain types of jobs, mostly for change management. But I thought it was really interesting, like getting his perspective on it. Because when you think, like, there's also all this just like security and HIPAA and like shut it down. But I think that like people need to get on the boat.
Right, that's exactly
it. You're going
right?
to be left behind.
We need to own it.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how to own it so that we can direct it rather than letting it direct us and having to be reactive to the technologies. If we don't stay ahead of it, we are going to get so far behind that we will never be able to catch up.
Yeah.
Which will then be a jobs thing, right? Because if you don't know how to use these tools, these are going to be part. What was it? Who was it? Was it Mary? Was it in the? Somebody posted a job that said they wanted somebody who was AI literate for more than 5 years. Remember?
Like 3 years of chat GPT knowledge.
Right? Like the technology itself isn't 5 years old. And they wanted 5 years of experience. And it's like, were you a developer in a previous life?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I use ChatGPT every day in my work, and I'm using it to train other folks with our customers as well. So happy to give any insights. I'm going to be talking about this at Customer XCon, and
nice.
Yeah, so if you have some stories of using it too, like I'm looking to put together a panel. If you want to come and join me on stage, that would be awesome. My latest thing last week, maybe it was last week, I lost track of time. I figured out how to just screen scrape a web page and turn the data into a spreadsheet. So very, very helpful for lead gen and that kind of stuff. Cause I was that intern who had to do all the cutting and pasting. So
What are your favorite things to do? Like the problem, I have just like dabbled in it, and normally it's more of like, here's some content, make this sound more persuasive or sound like it came from a CEO or whatever. But we're so limited because they're like, do not put any customer information in here. Like, no code, no customer information. So I'm kind of like, I work in advocacy. All my stuff is customer information, but I can't take like an interview and say, okay, synthesize this, or like our cab meeting notes. I love that.
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be fun? But no.
But no. So I'm like, okay, how can I use this for good and also educate myself by?
Yeah, I mean, so it's two different things. If you use the paid version of something like copy.ai, then you can upload stuff and it stays like internally.
Hidden.
So,
Right, it stays hidden.
So that's a good thing for your security stuff. On the generative side of things, if you're looking for it to create something, it's much more about giving it as much detail as you can in the prompts than it is about giving them something and say, now change it. If you want, I have a couple of things actually on my laptop now that I've been working on that I can show you if you want to see an example of like what you can do with prompts. Yes. Is everyone okay with this? I don't want to just come in and hijack the conversation.
Did we have a conversation? Did we have a conversation today?
I kind of like this with your people, if I'm honest. I come in and there's like 20 and I'm like, I'm just gonna go on mute. Absurd.
No, I think today a lot of people are out of office, which I hadn't considered, but no, please jump in. And I love this.
I did get 100 out of office messages from my email that I sent yesterday.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just thinking about it because my husband was like, I got to get the kids early because all the public school kids are out of school. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just show you this as one example.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm sure. Sorry, I have 18,000 open tabs.
This is being recorded, just so you all know. Per usual, if you need something not recorded, just let me know.
Okay, can you maybe, well, just because I don't know who's going to be seeing this, it's a draft of something that I may actually intend to send.
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah,
you may continue.
Okay, so to get something that specific, it was really all about the prompts. So I almost treat ChatGPT as if I were talking to an external agency. And so I would say, I am looking to create an email that reaches out to this specific, type of customer to do XYZ. I want to mention the following things in the email and then list them. And then the third part might be, I want everything to be done according to a Beyonce theme. Include as many references to Beyonce songs in puns as possible. And then hit send, and you get 90% of what I just showed you.
And I have a quick question. Is this a free version or is this something you're paying for? Because I haven't done a lot of dabbling yet.
Nope, that was done with ChatGPT 3, the free one.
Okay, wow. All right. Cool. Yeah.
I don't even know which one I have. Well, I'm very not clued in. I don't even know what generative AI means, but I am having fun with all the tools. I go look at all the AI tool sites every day and read some on the SaaS lifetime deal forums. We'll talk a lot about it because so many people are trying new things and building new tools. So I just get on there and learn a little bit every day and have fun playing with new tools.
This article that I dropped in the chat, it's from earlier this month, but it was like going to a place where like, okay, you're going to have in your Slack or your Zoom team chat, but like you're going to start having things written for you. And so where do we get where we're like robots talking to robots and you're like, where's that person in here? Or like through emails. And there's like a writer at the New York Times, she's like, I'm just going to let AI do my like communication and email or chat for the week. And the responses it gave were really funny. Like it was like too professional or whatever.
There's a video on YouTube of I forget what it's called, the Alexa thing, the Amazon, It's basically Alexa talking to Siri, where someone set up a prompt and the two of them just basically are going in an infinite loop.
Move forward.
It's very fun. And also what that title, how to lose friends with AI, reminds me of the South Park episode about ChatGPT, which, fun fact, was the first television show to use ChatGPT to write a script.
Huh.
Writer
was a
strike.
That was a
Mm.
trivia question that I had in an email that went to customers about ChatGPT.
When was
so-
that? When was this episode?
Oh, early March, I think. Like early
Okay,
to
we
mid.
have them all taped. I just haven't watched them yet. So now
like-
I'm going, thank you, Lauren.
It is like chef's kiss brilliant. But the basic plot is that Wendy is feeling somewhat ignored by Stan. Not ignored, but like feeling like he isn't really listening to her and not really paying attention. And so Stan had ChatGPT basically text Wendy, to pretend he's listening to her relationship problems. and sending things like, I totally understand. I want to be supportive of you. And so it sounds like what you're saying is blah, blah, blah. And, I think you're very brave for saying that. Like basically the things that you would actually expect a supportive boyfriend to do, but like he had ChatGPT do it. And then it basically spirals into other people using ChatGPT, all the boys, of course, using ChatGPT to send the, supportive text messages to their girlfriends. And then it kind of spirals out of control into various other uses of ChatGPT where like the feds come in and it's a very well done episode.
That's
Nice.
funny.
So, it was very, very well done, but it's very meta too, since it was ChatGPT writing an episode about ChatGPT.
So they really let them write this episode. Like the episode was.
It was written by Trey Parker and ChatGPT. So,
Right. A little bit like what you're doing.
Very similar. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was super funny. Yeah, I loved that episode.
I haven't watched South Park in like years. I feel like I've been missing out. Oh my
No,
God.
sometimes, but
So good.
no, they started going off. I mean, they really jumped on. Some episodes would be good. That's why I hadn't started this season yet. But there's always jewels in the midst of even a lackluster season. So you always want to go back. So now I'm interested in going back and watching. So
The
Well, I
last
think
one
I've
I
heard-
watched was Harry and Meghan. So that was the
Oh,
last one.
God.
That was the funniest. That was a good one too. Yeah.
I really liked it.
I think I missed that one too. Wow, it's been a Integrity First took over everything. And so I was like, as funny as all this is, I'm going to take a little break.
Everything was like, princess, influencer, victim for everything. And yes.
Mhm.
And I also love how the title of the biography was "Wah," was just brilliant. So,
Yeah. And we have a weird relationship where my husband and I quote a lot of I don't know, pop culture things back and forth to each other. So we were saying a lot of things from the episode. I probably like royal news way too much. I'm always on YouTube, like, what are they doing now? Just one of the weirder things about me, I suppose. But
you're not the only
Wait.
person I've heard that from. I think it's kind of a common thing for customer marketers because, if you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in pop culture, it helps relate to customers regardless of what their persona is.
thank you.
That's a nice way to justify it.
I used to be in the film industry, so my finger was on it all the time. And then I moved to Colorado, and I stayed with the South Park stuff because I was in Colorado, obviously. But I lost a lot of the pop culture, so I have come back into it the last year. So that's interesting. You said that, Lauren.
I think it's one of those commonalities that it doesn't that can really reach out to people. Like in my previous role at Click, my customer base was primarily data analysts and like data scientists and stuff. That's not my world. I don't understand like any of that stuff. And so there's only a very limited amount that I would be able to talk shop with them ever. But like, man, do they have opinions on, the first season of Succession or like whatever, the executive is at the time. And it's a great way to connect with them and get them talking about something that, is low stakes, easy for them to glom onto, and no one has to worry about whether they're revealing any kind of proprietary information from their company because it's not on topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always found that stuff to be a really good way to bring in people who tend to be naturally introverted and getting them talking in communities.
That's a good point. It's a really good idea. I mean, a lot of people struggle with building communities, so that's a good point. I mostly the way that I've been using Chat GPT and things is just to summarize things. But I don't know. I feel like I already have a lot of content to go through, so I don't need to create new content, but it is fun to play with the different tools and see what they'll do. Like, throw one of these episodes in a tool and it goes through and summarizes it and does the timestamps and looks for quotes and all of these things. And it just makes it a bit easier. Well, a lot easier, I'd say. And then I can go through and edit and put it on the website. But I found that what I'm actually doing is spending more time comparing tools than taking the content and putting it on a website. I'm just, ooh, well, what's this one do? Oh, this one makes a quote image. This one does. So I probably got to pull myself away from all these tools, but it's fun.
I kind of feel like we should do something together, like an ebook, because I'm so much more on the content generation side, and you have so much knowledge about the different comparative tools and what they do. I think we could totally put something really interesting together.
We could do that.
I've heard more than once, and like I have not been able to hire anyone forever, but just being able to use AI to write a job description is so beneficial. People are like, it used to take like 2 hours, and you'd be like, let me search because someone's done this before and it wasn't me. And then like just pull that together and do in 6 minutes
Hello?
what before would take 2 or 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
But I'm also like, is there another side, like all the people that are looking for jobs right now where I can like help with your resume or help with like something? I feel like cover letters, everyone's like throwing
cover
out
letters.
fast.
There's a one tool out there that will allow you to basically put in a list of company names and contacts, and it'll auto generate a custom cover letters for each of them in like seconds
cover letters.
comparatively.
Throw them away.
I've been trying really hard not to write cover letters in general because I think they're really outdated, but the couple of times when there's been like no way around it, I have absolutely used GPT and it has made everything so much faster. I mean, it still takes a reasonable amount of editing, but you can say like, here's the job description. Here's, you can even say, here's my LinkedIn profile, like go. And it gives you a much better baseline to start from.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And now I'm reading on LinkedIn that they now have, AI on the other side that is basically a detector for things that have been written with AI. And which I think for academia makes a whole lot of sense because plagiarism, but for things like cover letters and that kind of stuff, I don't know. I think that seems a little bit shady to me because it's like if you're asking applicants to put in that degree of work to have to write something completely customized for each instance and do all the research and all the other stuff only to probably get some kind of auto reject email, if anything at all, like why not have that as a tool, and why penalize someone for using a tool like that because they're doing it on their side.
I think though, like we still have to put in a bit of work to edit things. Like it's not perfect what it spits out. So if you are just throwing that in there, some AI thing, and it doesn't match your resume or anything you have on LinkedIn, you're going to you know, it's going to be easy to point that out.
Yeah, and
But I agree,
Definitely a
like
little-
companies expect too much. They're like, oh, come apply, give us a cover letter, reach out to everyone on the team. There was somebody hiring probably a few months ago
20
that
hours
was
worth
like,
of free consulting work that can be instantly applied
Yes.
to our existing business case, whether or not we bring you on or yeah.
yep. I like some guy was going on and on about all these things that applicants can do. And I was like, you are kind of a big figure in the sales industry. Like what you are saying is so wrong. Use your influence for good things. You are basically telling people that if they're not spending multiple hours to apply for a job where there's probably 400 people, that they're not going to get the job. But that's crap. Like that's just crap. Like you can't expect that much from people. That's why it's a full-time job to find a job because
Yeah.
of these jackasses.
Yeah, no,
Don't get me
absolutely.
started.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's totally fair to give what you get. And, to your point, if you're going to be lazy about it and just, put it to ChatGPT, write me a cover letter for Acme Co. And like it, puts out generic crap and that's what the person actually uses as their cover letter, then, they get what they deserve. but, but if they're
Probably not going in their favor.
not going to go in their favor, but if they are thoughtful about it and they give it a draft of a cover letter that they've actually written and try to use it iteratively to tailor something that sounds really good and is really and is really tailored to that specific company and that specific role, instead of doing it yourself for multiple hours when you may not naturally be the most talented writer in the world. What's the problem?
Those are just more of my links that I check multiple times a day for new toys.
That's awesome.
Finding out a lot about Mary's addictions today. So yeah.
I love this.
But I was looking for, I bought Cast Magic and I posted about it on the group, but it takes like your videos and just it even makes like a chat that you can have with the episode and all of that. Does titles, keywords, speaker bios, introductions, questions and answers, quotes.
What is
It's
that called?
awesome. Castmagic.io.
Ask Magic?
Yeah, I will show you with a screen share.
So is that something that you would like upload a gong recording to and it turns it into a case study, or what is it for?
It's so basically like this one, can you see?
Ask Magic. Okay.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, Ari basically was talking about what he was going to be sharing this week at the CMA summit. So it takes a transcript once you upload it, and then you identify, like tell it Daniel was talking, Ashley was talking for all the different parts, and then you go into the AI and it generates the titles for it, keywords, speaker bios for the people that are talking. Look, Justine Wu. I think she's on the call today.
Oh, this is so cool. Where does it pull that from?
Right from the usually it's things that they say like right in the right in the call.
Okay.
So you want to like look at it and kind of edit it up a little bit, but it takes some of the things that they've said and puts it into the call and gives you a few introductions for like sharing the video. So if you're going to put it in a blog post, timestamps overview, questions and answers that came up during the video, keyword or key topics and bullets. Another one of these tools does like entities. So it'll take like all the names, all the websites, all the tools or companies and puts that into a list. Takes quotes from the people that spoke the most. Makes it easy to pull them out. And this is a real script, which I guess is like something a lot of podcasts have. Then it'll make LinkedIn posts, a newsletter, email, and Twitter threads,
Crap, this is so cool.
all off of each of these episodes. And the nice thing about this one, Cast Magic, is that it was on the lifetime deal site. So I spent like $120 to get it, but I get like 600 minutes worth a month forever just for that $120.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. But there are a lot of other ones too. Like
$120 per year or per month?
there's a lot of other tools that do this, and then like they come up all the time on the lifetime deals too.
That is cool. Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun. So I did all those videos, all those ones that you saw, and now I just have to go back through and edit them. But that's what I did with Sienna's that I turned into a blog post. And that was like 7,000 words. It's crazy.
Oh.
She talked like the whole hour though. It was really good.
I read that whole thing because I wasn't able to attend and see on the screen, but I was just like, oh, this is really useful. So know that it's being read, at least by me.
Yeah, I told her, she was like, I have no idea if people are actually looking at these things. And I said, well, your recording has 276 views, and that's the recording from a couple months ago. And just putting out the blog post this week was 190 already. So it doesn't really say that people are reading the whole thing, but it does say like, hey, take a look. And I had to take out the slides because she was like, hey, I really can't have those on there. And I thought she had said she could in the call, so I just did it. But then afterwards, I must have misunderstood. So I just took them out because I like it when people call me out. That's what I posted in the community today too. Call me out if you need to. I'd much rather people call me out than be like, did you see what Mary did? Not that I would even know, but yeah. Fun. So now you guys can get addicted to the same websites that I'm using. I go to AppSumo. That's where I find the lifetime deals for the most part. Like the Better Mode website, they start at $5.99 a month now, but I bought the lifetime deal maybe 4 years ago for $79. And
Nice.
still,
It's good to get it on the ground floor with stuff.
yes, but it's kind of risky too, because sometimes the companies will not go on for a long time. It depends. So, yeah. What else is everybody up to this week? Any big wins?
I can't share any big ones, but I have a very random question that
Sure.
on my mind. So we have like for case studies, testimonials, our permission form, and do it, and then we'll share it in every way possible. And then for like our user conference, we have our speaker agreement, which is like also a lot of legalese, and like we can promote this and you can share it, blah, blah. But we don't have like an in-between speaker permission form. And I'm wondering if other people do, because it's a little bit different. Like it's usually more like knowledge share, thought leadership, and then we'll sometimes get these quotes out of it and we just like follow up and ask for it. But does anyone do something in between where you have like agreements for speakers when it's just like a webinar?
Yeah. I don't know. Anybody on this site or on here have one?
I don't have one specifically for webinars, but we usually let them know that anything that is in the webinar is open for publication in a gazillion different ways. And that's just part of being on the webinar, but we don't have it documented in it like they have to sign something agreement before
Do you
before
get that
they
in
participate.
writing, or you just?
Nope, we just let them know, and we've not had any problems with it to date. I did put like an advocacy form together that we're getting ready to send out. We do like the NPS, right? And when we get the NPS, then we're sending the CSM sends a follow-up email And we're adding in a link there that says, if you're interested in more advocacy activities, click here, and then it lets them pick what they would like to do. And there's a disclaimer there on that form that says anything that you do here is, open for use in all of the ways that we might choose to use it.
Right.
But I did get that statement approved by the legal team as a disclaimer. Haven't rolled it out yet, but it's on the list.
Yeah, I haven't used them. Like normally, and with the bigger companies, I worked for probably around like 1,000 people, 1,300 maybe. It was just sharing, this is a webinar, this is what we do. We can use it in all sorts of ways in our marketing and things like that. And we never had anybody ask either, which
Right.
is
That's the other thing. I'm like, why am I adding more work for just like very small risk?
I mean, I
Don't
think
need
in
it.
my experience, I think it's understood that that is what a webinar is for, right? I think
Mhm.
people understand that you're going to get it. Obviously, they're speaking publicly and you're going to want to
And it's
continue.
being recorded most likely. So
Right. I mean,
It's
I
forever.
think it's shocking that it's going to be used in all those different ways.
And it's not even so like there's some of that, but then there's the like, oh, then we're gonna take their logo, we're gonna slap it on this, and can we take it's like combining the brand approval stuff with the individual, like, oh, they said this great thing. And then since then we've just been asking individual permission, depending on what it is. But sometimes like you don't have time to ask permission. Anyway,
I
we
think
haven't
it
run into trouble.
depends too with the company. Like I used to work for a financial services company and I did all of the webinars and we always had them sign something.
Mhm.
Mainly our intention there was a promotional responsibility on their part that if we were going to partner with them, they needed to be sending it to their email list. And so that's a way to make it easier to get them to sign it. It was like, oh, we're going to be sending it to our list. You're going to be sending it to yours. But we
Mhm.
definitely had to do that, I remember. But I feel like in this space, it isn't as prevalent. In certain cases, it is with the bigger companies. So I'm not sure. I think it's all case by case basis too.
Yeah.
I have run into the logo issue a little bit before, but I think usually we've been able to solve it by just writing the name of, so I just say, oh, it's
Mhm.
Megan from Zoom. And I don't put the logo, and that usually seems to be sort of good enough to take care of it.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
no problem.
I can share a win from this week. So earlier this week, I was out at our roadshow. It's the first customer event that I've ever been to. So it was really nice to see customers. One learning is that it's really hard to get people to come out in Southern California. So we decided to have our event in Beverly Hills. And yeah, it was just struggle to get registration, but that's a different story for a different day. But one thing that is a pain in my butt is to get more G2 reviews. So at the event, because I knew there was going to be a large concentration of customers, I handed out Starbucks cards that were $25. And then on the Starbucks card, I put a sticker that says, you get additional $50 Amazon gift card if you actually complete the review. So I handed out to almost, yeah. So basically they're getting $75 for 5 to 10 minutes of work. But it was really effective. We've gotten 8 so far. So
That's a lot of coffee. That's a lot. That's cool.
You
was
just covered coffee for a month.
It was definitely
Yeah.
not a cheap campaign by any means, but it was a very effective one because prior to this, I've been going through G2 and doing like the co-branded campaigns, which netted the lowest return. And then I've been also like doing personal outreach, which is okay, but this was like really effective.
Yeah,
That's
The
nice.
co-branded ones are easier in the sense that you basically just kind of set it and forget it once you send some copy, but it's so spam looking.
Yeah, it
the
is.
one from G2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
but-
when you do it on your own, like I just launched one and and we were trying to get to the 10 reviews because we only had 6, and we got to 9. I'm like, because we were trying to get it for the summer publication. So I'm like, but there's still stragglers who are supposed to be filling it out, that our customer success has been talking to. So hopefully we'll be in the next one, but I feel your pain, Justine. Like that's awesome that you had success though with going. Ours kept going to spam. Like our customer success would be like, did you get the email? And they'd be like, no, we didn't get the email. So that was another thing. And I just sent it out directly through our email campaign that we usually send out to customers.
So it was a G2, you were trying to get G2 reviews, but you sent
Right.
it with the point of reference domain. website.
Yes, well, it's not even point of reference domain. I sent it through our email company that we do our newsletters from. So it's Get Response. So it came from
Oh,
Get
okay.
Response, and it was obviously going to spam for certain people. And so not everyone got it, but anyway, we at least got a handful. We're closer to that number that we're trying to get, but that's awesome that you're having luck with that, because we always push people to App Exchange, like because we're Salesforce native. That's the main place we're looking for people to leave reviews. But I see the benefit of G2. I've heard Caitlin talk about it a lot, and it's all over the place. I know how important that is. So just trying to increase those reviews. So
This post that I'm sharing was from Nick Bennett when he tried to get reviews for, I think, Alice before.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Um,
complicated with Alice to do that because we're a gifting platform, and so that mechanism of loading in money into G2 and then having it be an instant redeemable gift card upon submitting the review isn't something that is on, which is ridiculous because they actually contract through the same vendor that we like. They're using Alice for the back end to fulfill those those
that's
things.
fun.
It is, but so because of that, even though it's our own stuff,
Mhm.
we still are under the direction to do our own branding and gifting. And so the mechanism, rather than just easily sending it to that G2 incentivized campaign, the email, the request that we send is, submit your review and either send me a screenshot of your completed review or post it in a way that is not anonymous so we can trace it back to you. And then we'll send you an Alice gift invitation so you can get your gift, which which is very clunky from, a CX perspective and much more time consuming. And, I would prefer just to do it the regular way because it's more effective, but it's kind of a point of conflict that we have internally over, the brand experience versus the UX experience. And, for me, it's always going to be the UX experience if the two are in conflict, because I'm
Yep.
going to side with what makes things easier for the customer.
I agree.
We run into so much with our compliance team of like even getting the standard like $25 gift card, which Gartner Pure Insights will give on our behalf. Like they're always like, I don't know, like it seems like we're incentivized. Like it's so difficult. So I get so envious of the like, oh, we're getting them 25 and then another 50 if they do it. So I'm like, oh, that would never fly.
Yeah, never gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, I think a workaround for that, Megan, might be if you're offering a comparable charitable donation, so that way it's
We've got that option too. But then they're like, the charities that they have on brand with Zoom, like I'm like, just like let them choose. They'll never know. What like, yeah.
I mean, what I've done that's been reasonably successful is tying in, if I'm going to do a charity, and again, this is back when I had budget, tying in a charity to whatever the themed activism month is.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so it would be, so the charity would be, your gift goes to the Komen Foundation, or or something like that. So there's always a themed month for something. So like June obviously is Pride Month. And so like the Trevor Project would be a good charity to tie into, but keeping it in that sort of seasonality themed helps kind of keep it fresh, and then makes it a little bit easier to validate the one you chose, so that because they know that it's going on with this like, global movement, as opposed to like, oh, why does your company pick this specific charity? Like, what's your deal?
Right. And then even keeps it fresh if you're like, oh, you could have donated it to this month, but when we ask you 3 months later or whatever it is, there's a new option.
It'll be something else. Yeah.
That's cool.
So for March, for March, for Women's History Month, it would be Girls Who Code, or, any kind of, non-controversial women's charity, because everything is controversial now, apparently. So,
Yes, that's true. I like to try to change it up, make it a little bit different. Like I think when we think about like offering different charities, a lot of times we offer like the same charities, and it goes, like people just aren't as excited about it. And I think that excitement is a little bit more important than we can sometimes think. Like just, well, I had like one guy that he would be like, yeah, I love to get Amazon gift cards because my wife and I will go through and we'll look for toys and stuff to send to the local, like pet supply, whatever charity and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I never thought about it, but people have like these very specific things that they want to do. Or Leslie Barrett talks about how she would offer $30 instead of $25, and it made a whole bunch of difference. Like, I think we just get like, $25 gift card. I'd have to go and pick things. And what am I going to pick that's under $25? I try to keep all these things in mind so that I can try to offer something different. Like for me, if you send me something and you're like, I'll send you $10 in cookies, I'll do it 15 times. I don't care. But that's just me. So I think creativity plays a good part in it, especially when you're really trying to incentivize the people. And it's something I keep in mind. I don't know.
and
Maybe ChatGPT can come up with more creative ideas for us.
There's no maybe, they can.
Yeah. It also is so annoying when you are doing these incentivized campaigns and the person will write a review, but it'll be like, this company is great. I like their products. It helped me do my job better. Like, thanks.
But thank you for the 5 stars too.
Yeah, the 5 stars are nice, but like, come on, like put some real thought into it,
Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking, so I used ChatGPT this week to summarize the YouTube video that Slap 5 did a couple weeks ago with Jeff talking about the myths in customer marketing. And I had to try like all these different Chrome extensions to get it to generate something for me. So I kept reloading the page, and every time he'd be like, this is the way. This is the way. Like that's how he started the conversation, which he wasn't going in a Star Wars direction. It was just he kept, saying it because I was reloading it. But one of the things he said was that people really like to look at the 1 and 2 star reviews to see if it aligns with the concerns that they have with the company. And I often click like 1 or 2 because I want to see what's the crappiest thing about this company. So they are the most helpful for me as a consumer, but you obviously don't want them as the company. So not sure how helpful that would be. Only 3 of our customers out of X many says that they don't like our product anymore. Maybe that's good.
I've seen some really effective ad campaigns where they're actually advertising the crappy reviews. It's like, come buy the socks that Kim from Madison, Wisconsin said, were really butt ugly and I couldn't get my dog to chew on it. I don't like, but
I
I
do
swear-
wonder, like, how well did that work in SAS? It's like the mean tweets series
Yeah.
that I used to do.
Kind of. I mean, I think it depends on the actual content. I think for consumer, you have a lot more play and wiggle
Mhm.
room because you can easily point out like when a person is just being completely ridiculous. Harder to do with SaaS.
Yeah. Although if you're like in advocacy or anything, you could be like, no fake reviews from us. That's one way.
It's true. Yeah. How did you get ChatGPT to look at a YouTube video? I thought it was only like text in, text out.
Well, yeah, like, but like putting in different parts of it, well, that's what the tool said it was doing. So, and
You can
don't
grab the
ask me.
script from YouTube. YouTube generates a script.
Oh, you get the script. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. And don't ask me what tool it was because I don't know. I've registered and now have like all these companies emailing me every day, and I can't even remember which one I used for what. So I have to go through and unsubscribe. I'm just ridiculous. I'm a tool addict. So
They're fun. And honestly, like if you're, a one-person department, the more tools you have, the better.
Christine, you must have a lot of tools.
I keep my my toolkit pretty full. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, one of the things that I'm really grateful for that CMA 100 thing is that I've been contacted now by, CEOs of startups that make customer marketing software, and they are asking me to give feedback on it and sometimes beta test stuff. So not only am I really excited about, having these options for ways that we can elevate the practice, but, hey, if you're going to give me like a free trial to use some software, like I have no budget. So yeah, bring it. Like I'll be happy to give you detailed feedback of how it's being used because I'll use it.
Well, you have to share with me what you learned so that I can keep, I don't know, keep my finger on the pulse of the industry. I get several like that I talk to. I've talked to Dido and Earmarks and there's another one, something HQ,
Oh, I haven't gotten that one.
referral stack or something like that. Ref stack, I think it was called. But they're
Didn't they
kind of
just change their name? Didn't they change it up?
probably, I don't
did
know.
one with, I did one with a company called Champion yesterday, which had a pretty interesting.
That might be it. That's the one I have not seen. Like I heard about them, I haven't seen. But like I had a call with Laudable not too long ago.
Oh yeah, Angela, she's fantastic. I love her.
Yeah, she really is. And who else? I can't think. Oh, like user evidence. I've looked at theirs. Well, I've had
I
a
loved
demo
I
one.
loved user evidence. I just did not have any budget.
Mm-hmm.
They got a hold of me when I first started, and even now I don't have a budget this year either. But last year the position didn't exist when they did budgeting. So when there was nothing for me to own. I had to bum Alice gifts from Demand Gen.
What did you love about user
Are
evidence?
you using Alice? Christine, I need to talk to you.
I thought that I loved the way that I could organize everything on the back end, and it presented it in a nice way in the front end, and I could link to my incited data from community. That was my big thing, is I really wanted to be able to, because Incited doesn't have a way to kind of badge up based on advocacy in an automated fashion, right? I can certainly, one of my tasks is to see if I can API it and get it to happen with APIs, but we store all of the advocacy events as contact records in Salesforce. So they're just hard to get to.
Gotcha. Well, if you're talking about Alice specifically, there is a Salesforce integration.
Yeah, that one does. This was user evidence though. So yeah, and Incited will now talk to, I've got the integration from Incited to Salesforce, but it's still hard to figure out how to calculate a badging opportunity, right? So people get credit for those advocacy events that they choose to participate in.
That's frustrating. Their
Yeah.
marketing, when I looked at it last, well, when I looked at it a year ago, it said that like it could manage advocacy stuff. Similarly, like it was like insided versus base or crowdvocate at the time.
It
So
does badging, but the
yeah,
advocacy piece is not clean yet anyway.
yeah.
I'm sure it will be, but I like everything else about it, so I'm not going to give it up. But
Yeah, I'd be interested in learning more about that. I've been a very dedicated Influitive user for years, and they're my go-to.
I love Influitive. I try to be like, you know, not too I try not to be too biased, but I do love Influitive. But it's easy to love Influitive when you're a community person that wants to do advocacy stuff too. And there's not a lot of real competition for bringing those two things together. So it's easy to do that. But user evidence, I'm excited about things that they're working on. Wink, wink, Christine.
I talk with them probably once a quarter just to see what's going on, because
Yeah.
I believe when I finally get a budget, we will work with them.
I feel like you do need to have a lot of customers to really make it worth the investment. Like there's just, you know, to make it worth sending out to tons of people and getting like doing that automation and stuff like that, like you should have a lot of customers. Not that, you know, I don't know. I've had like companies that I've worked with that had 40 customers. I don't think that really align well.
There's no benefit there. There's no benefit. But and we're on the like the tipping point right now, right? So I've got, I don't know, 700 customers and 400 people in community.
Yeah. Yeah. See, so that
So
like you'd be able to, especially if you can keep them active. Bye, Allison. It was good to see you. Especially if they're active community like advocates and, you know, well engaged and they want to try and do additional things, then using something like user evidence to send stuff out there. And I just like the way it all looks too afterwards. Like they just make it all look so nice where I can spend hours and hours in Canva or Visme and it still doesn't look good. I'm not a designer.
Yeah, me neither.
that's my rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Design is my rabbit hole. I could spend hours. Is that the
Nice.
right color red?
Oh, I can do that. Yeah, I use that. What is it? CEO
Should I use
coolers or
which
whatever.
methodology should I be using to put this graphic on the page?
Yeah, that's not me. If you give me a design, I can make it my own. But I can't just go in there and make something. It'll be butt ugly. Just awful. Bye, Justine. Okay, we're at 3:00. Well, thank you guys for ladies. Thank you, ladies, for showing up. I am gonna take a nice long weekend. I hope you all do the
Enjoy.
same. And yeah, thanks for hopping on. I'll see you in the community and wherever else we show up. Bye.
Bye. Happy weekend, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.